Every year we do lots of research with the book for the cover, which is very important for us, but also with the insides. And one theme that came across in the UK and the US this year was the boys are quite fascinated by the decade. Going from '09 to 10 for them is a big deal. In fact, I remember as a child myself in the 1970s, going from 1979 to 1980 was a huge deal for me. Same with our boys now, so we thought, why not use this as a theme throughout the whole book?
So we went back through the decade to look for the major events that had happened, and we were absolutely astonished at how much has happened over the past 10 years and what an important decade it's been. And there's been a lot of bad things, the September 11 tragedy, of course, and the Bali bombings and the London bombings. And then in 2003, there was the earthquake in Iran and BAM, and in 2004, there was the Asian tsunami. But at the same time, there's been some fantastic things happen as well. We've put pods onto Mars for the first time, and America has its first African-American president. And the Harry Potter phenomenon has turned a whole lot of kids who were switching to the internet back onto books. And at the same time, we've also become very aware of other themes in our community, like global warming and climate change, and our consumption and wastage. And all of these things gave us this incredibly rich amount of material to put into 2010's book. So it's really current, it's really up to date. It's still a lot of fun, and it still has a lot of the really wacky stuff that kids love. But it is the most informative and the most rich book I think we've ever produced, and I think kids are really going to love it.
Inspired by the idea of the decade, we've gone back over the last 10 years and identified the top 100 key events of the decade. We're asking the public to vote by going online. So for the first time, we've got lots of online content, the chance for you to go on and tell us what you think are the most important events in the last 10 years. We've also packed the website with exclusive video content, with downloadable photographs and wallpapers for your mobile phone, and also for your PC.
We've also put in a little bit across the bottom of each page which lists every day of the year, and so you can look up your own birth date to see what kind of record has been set or broken on that day. And there's just a whole lot of stuff that actually makes it a really interactive book to work through, and kids who love reading the book with their parents will actually be able to sit there with the computer that feeds back all this behind the scenes information. So it's not only just a great read, it's also a really, really good tool to sort of spend time with. In terms of a whole family dynamic thing.
The design feature this year, which is very strong throughout the book, you'll see, is what we're calling steampunk. It's inspired by the graphic novel style, the likes of you'll see in the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen or the Golden Compass movie. The idea is to take modern, contemporary technology, but place it in a kind of Victorian settings.
Probably the best example I could think of is if you had a brass and copper-plated microwave oven that had, old-fashioned style knobs and stuff, but actually still worked as a modern piece of machinery. If you can imagine that kind of thing, you can imagine the images that have been dropped throughout the pages of the book. And it has this kind of slightly antique look, but it's still hyper-contemporary, and it really works on the page.
In testing the design, the kids love the idea of packing the spreads full of information. The design is based on helping kids read, so those who are reluctant readers may find it much easier to read our book than to read other books that are not so well designed.
The really great thing about Guinness World Records is that we have about 50,000 records in our database, and yet only about 4,000 records make it into the book each year. If we put them all in, the book would be huge. So at least 85% of the records are new in every single edition, and I think a lot of people don't realise that. There are about 15% of records that are what we call core records, the youngest, the oldest, the tallest, the shortest, etc., that the readers sort of expect. But because we have this incredible resource of records available to us, we can create most of the book renewed every year. So we can choose particular themes or particular spreads or subjects that we want to feature in the book, and we can pull records from our database to suit that. Additionally, we get about 1,000 record claims per week, many of which are knocked back for just being silly or extreme or uninteresting. But there's always new material coming in through claims, and also we have a team of about 15 adjudicators who attend new record attempts all over the world every day of the year. We actually have more adjudications to do than we have staff available to do them. And we have more records coming in than we can ever fit into each new edition of the book. So Guinness World Records will always be a new book every year in the vast, vast majority of its content, and that's fantastic.
One of the most exciting aspects of this year's book for me is that we have gone around the world to find the world's tallest people. And there's great contention as to who is the tallest man, the tallest woman. But this year we wanted to find out for sure. Being it is the book of the decade, we had to be very sure. So I personally travelled Thailand to Turkey to the USA to try and find at least the key record holders. We now can guarantee, and I have measured the world's tallest man, the world's tallest children, the world's tallest married couple. So for us, this is the tallest book this year. It's a very important record category, and we're very proud to present all our key record holders this year. Because this is the book of the decade, it's our most collectible edition yet, and it will sell out fast. So while you're visiting WHSmith, order your copy now while you can.